it's stewardship as opposed to just pure ownership. You are just a piece of this home's journey. You're not going to be the first owner, or hopefully not the last owner of it. And it's all about just maintaining something that has been there well before you and hopefully well after. So it's just knowing that you're going to invest a lot of time, energy, blood, sweat, and some tears into it, and that then it is all fine.
Today on Morning Waltz, I'm joined by Nicole Moering, who has recently moved to the Philadelphia area. You bought an old home in Chestnut Hill.
Sure did.
And you've been in the process of turning this into your home, and sharing the journey along the way with everybody on social media.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited to talk through how this journey came to be, why Philadelphia, and just learn more about you as a person and content creater.
Amazing.
And let's welcome Nicole.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's such an honor.
I mean, when I call her Mel, when she said that you said yes, I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. So I want to know what brought you to Philadelphia?
The long and the short of it was, so I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina for college. So I was 18 years old, and I lived there all the way up until I moved to Philadelphia. So it was almost 18 years, but I'm not from the South originally. I grew up in England, which is really funny. The reaction, people being like, you don't sound like you're from England. I'm like, I know, I'm really sad about it. I wish I did. But I grew up in England. I went to high school in Florida, and then I moved up to North Carolina for college and just kind of never left. And I kept trying to leave and just didn't really work out. And it got to the point where I got married. I have my husband, whom I love, and he's from central Pennsylvania. And I was like, I need to not live in Raleigh, North Carolina for my entire adult life. There is so much world out there, and I'm not really a small town girl or like a southerner heart. So I was pushing to move to New York City. And we did not agree on that location specifically. We love New York City. We got married in New York City, but my husband's like, I'm from central Pennsylvania. I'm a small town guy at heart. And that was a little bit too much of a jump for him. So we started looking at other cities as an option to move to. And I had never even been to Philadelphia, but we were looking at areas that had an airport nearby, because my husband does travel quite a bit for work. So having immediate airport access was really important. A really good food scene was really important. And then some character and charm was really important. And we just came to visit Philadelphia one weekend, and I was like, I love it here. I was like, this is such a cool city. And I didn't know anything about Philadelphia. All I had heard was kind of the mainstream media version of Philly, which is not the most pleasant version. And like day after day, I'm like, wow, the world has gotten it wrong. It's such a cool place. I visited it. I fell in love immediately. I was like, we have to live here. And Zach agreed. It felt like a semblance of home to him, being from the Pennsylvania area anyway. And he has friends nearby, and it has really good access to the airport. And he was like, all right, well, let's do it. And I was like, perfect. Me being a little bit of a excitable puppy in some instances was like, okay, let's go buy a house right now. And he was like, whoa. Maybe let's rent for a year and make sure we like it and feel the areas out. So that's how we ended up in Center City. Is we ended up finding a row home for rent, and we rented in Center City. And I knew very little about any of the neighborhoods or anything. And honestly, I loved it so much. I loved where we landed, and I had the best experience in Center City.
What part of Center City?
We were in Society Hill. Right off of Pine Street. And when I tell you the most like adorable jewel box row home, it was so beautifully done. I loved it. The owners took really good care of it. And just having that city lifestyle that I had kind of been craving and looking for in my like hypothetical New York City life, I kind of got that like itch scratched. And then I learned that maybe having a yard and like quiet nights to sleep in were maybe a bit more of a priority than I realized at the time. And we have a dog. She's little, and she wanted a yard. She told me. So
I mean, when Greta speaks.
Greta definitely is the absolute ruler of that house. So she gets these stompy little feet going, and she gets whatever she wants. So we basically joke that we bought Greta a house. So that's why we did it. But yeah, so we started looking around at the surrounding neighborhoods and just honestly stumbled across Chestnut Hill, which is like the quaintest, cutest little neighborhood I've ever seen in my life. And so much of it felt like home to me. It's got a lot of the English charm to it that I grew up with. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is where we have to live now.
Right.
And one thing turned to another, and there we are. So that was a very long way to answer why we are in Philadelphia.
I mean, I needed the backstory to get us to where we are. But Society Hill and having that taste of Philly. So you actually now, it's you didn't just move to Chestnut Hill with no understanding of Philadelphia, and you had that taste of Philly. So now you have the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have your favorite places that you can go back to.
Loretta's, I miss it every day in Society Hill. If you guys ever in Society Hill, Loretta's coffee shop, 10 out of 10.
Yes.
So good.
I want to talk about your house and how long it took you to find this gem and what the journey has been like.
You know, it's so funny because like in retrospect, everything did actually happen relatively quickly. In the moment, I was like, this is lasting a lifetime. So it felt never ending. But I think to really get into it, I have to back way up to when we still lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. I love Zillow. I'm addicted to looking at Zillow. But when we decided to move to Philadelphia area, I naturally started stalking Philadelphia and the greater surrounding areas. Again, not knowing where anything actually was. None of it really meant a lot to me, but I like to look at houses. So I would look at random townhomes in kind of the center city area. I would look at homes out in the main line, Jenkintown, and then this one red brick house popped up. You know, I just drew one of those giant blue circles around Philadelphia. And I was like, wow, that house is incredible. So this would have been in like summer of 2004, I think, or 2004. Wow, I had 20 years to that. 2024. And I saw this. I was like, what a masterpiece of a house. I was like, and I loved it immediately. I saved the home, and it was not even remotely what we were looking for in any sense of the word. You know, it's big, it needs updating. It seemed kind of out somewhere I didn't know, but I was like, I'm just going to save that house because it was just so beautiful to me. And then we made the move to Philadelphia and stayed in our row home. And about 9 months into that, we were like, okay, yes, we're going to stay in the Philly area and we are prepared to buy a home, but we knew we kind of wanted to be out in a suburb that was close by. So we started looking up homes, and I resent that listing to Zach, and I was like, this home. And he was like, haha, too bad, it's under contract. And I was like, oh, you're right. And again, it still wasn't really what we were looking for in a home. It was much larger than our parameters. It was more expensive than our parameters. It just, you know, wasn't really. And I was like, oh, wait, you're right. So we started looking at other homes. We toured some really incredible, beautiful homes, and some of them just weren't the right fit. And there was one home that we really loved so much. We put an offer in on it. We were outbid. So we lost that house. And when I say I cried, I really did cry. I was so upset about that house. I was like, it was such a good house.
That was the one in
Wynmoor. It's like the neighborhood right next to Chestnut Hills, like just separated by one road basically. And I was just devastated. And I just like pulled up Zillow again, and that big red brick house that I had found well over a year ago was back on the market. And I was like, weird. I wonder what happened there. Because, you know, it's not necessarily a good sign for a house to come back on the market after going under contract. And Zach, my husband, was like, you know, let's just go look at it. And I was like, oh, why? You're not going to like agree to this home? Because it wasn't what he wanted in a home. And so we went and we toured it. And when I tell you, I toured that house with the most sourpuss face on the entire tour. I mean, I was like... And we got done. He was like, did you not like the house? I was like, no, I freaking loved it. I was like, but we're not going to be able to buy it. I was like, why would you torment me like this? I was like, that was just cruel. And he's like, you know what? I think this will make it work. He was like, let's see what putting an offer. And I was like, wait, what? My big red house that I kind of magically found forever ago. And, you know, we were really fortunate. The sellers had taken an offer and accepted it. And then they had done home inspection.
Okay.
And the people that put the offer on the home before us got the inspection back, and they wanted some concessions made based on what they found, and they couldn't come to an agreement, which is why it then fell out of contract with them. And the sellers gave us a copy of the inspection report so we could see what they saw. And they were really great in allowing us to send in specialists to actually go through everything that was on the inspection report that seemed possibly problematic. So roofing repair, masonry work, electrical repair, foundation repair, all these things that are kind of big red flag issues. We were able to send specialists in to be like, okay, what does this actually look like? Is it really a problem? Is it not a problem? Is it a now problem? Is it a 10-year from now problem? And really get a good understanding of what the house really needed. And we came to an understanding and agreement. And then before I knew it, that red brick house that I fell in love with well over a year ago was all of a sudden ours, which was really magical.
Oh my gosh. And none of it scared you off with what the various engineers and specialists that came in?
Honestly, no. I think I'm the perfect level of rational and delusional. I'm like, she's been standing for 120 years. Surely she's not going to fall down now.
New builds don't even last.
Exactly. I was like, it's going into it, I think, with the right mindset. It is a labor of love. It's stewardship as opposed to just pure ownership. Mm-hmm. You are just a piece of this home's journey. You're not going to be the first owner, or hopefully not the last owner of it. And it's all about just maintaining something that has been there well before you and hopefully well after. So it's just knowing that you're going to invest a lot of time, energy, blood, sweat, and some tears into it, and that then it is all fine.
Well, I love to know this. Do you know any of the backstory and the history of the house?
Yes. It was built for a relatively prominent family in the Philadelphia area, the Biddle family. Then it became a kind of a bachelor house where they were called the Binderton Bachelors.
The Binderton Bachelors?
Yes. So it was a group of like 7 or 8 men that would live there at any given point in time. And one would get married off and another one would come in, and this lasted for like a decade. There's like newspaper articles about it and just the Bachelors of Binderton. I'm like, wow, fascinating.
There needs to be a reality show.
I know. We were doing all these renovations and I was like, please let me find something in these walls that is from that era. We did not. Oh. We found a pair of knitting needles, and that was about as exciting as that got. But
that's it.
That was it. Just knitting. And I don't think those bachelors were the ones knitting.
No.
We do have some photos of the house like throughout the many years it's been around, which are really cool to look at and kind of get an understanding of what was original, what got changed, and even the property itself is pretty fascinating. The gardens were designed by the Olmsted brothers, who did Central Park and a couple other, which is pretty cool.
When did you move in?
We moved in towards the end of August. It was like August 20th-ish.
Okay. And what has the journey been since August?
Yeah, it's been so fun. I literally had people in my house all morning today. So we knew we had to change the entire home's electrical system because it was on the original knob and tube electricity wires and the original switch panels. So like if you think of kind of like the Titanic when they're like that's like what our power breakers looked like.
Gosh.
Like they're actually really beautiful. They're made of copper, and there's a bunch of them, and we're gonna actually keep them. They're not operational, and we're gonna frame them. They're super pretty. But anyway, so the electricity had to go, which is also really interesting because I say, on the internet, my whole journey's on the internet. Everyone's like, it's not dangerous. You don't have to change it. And I'm like, look, here's the thing. We are a slave to our insurance people. Yes. And our insurance company said it has to go. So whether or not we agree or disagree that it's safe is irrelevant. I cannot get homeowners insurance without changing it. So we knew we had to change it, which then meant that the electrician had to put holes in every single wall in the house. And the previous owners had really put a lot of love into designing the home whenever they had purchased it in the 90s. And they were big on wallpaper, which was so great. I mean, honestly, a lot of it I really did love. Yeah. Some of it not necessarily to my taste, but like they really invested in the decor in this home. However, when you had to put holes in the wall and it's a wallpapered wall, you now have holes in wallpaper, which you can't just paint over that. So not only did we have to replace the electricity, but they put holes in the walls, and then they had to tear down all of the original wallpaper that was in like 90% of the house. So when you have that much wallpaper coming down, all the plaster on the walls was ruined. So then we had to replaster all the walls just to fix, you know, the holes from the electricity. So that was how we spent the first 2.5 months living there, was just a crew coming in and busting up holes in all the walls, and then a crew coming behind and plastering all the holes and all the wallpaper. And I mean, so
and you're also living in the house while this is happening.
We sure were, which for anybody wondering, that is not ideal. We would have very much not liked to have lived in the home. It was just unfortunate. You know, luckily it's a big enough home that we could kind of tuck ourselves away in a room at a time. Sure. But it definitely wasn't ideal. And you know, bless our electrician, because, you know, our original plan was to not be living in it. So in his mind, he's like, I can just turn it all off, rip it all out, put it all in, and call it a day. And we were like, oh, sorry, Nick. We are, in fact, going to be living here. So there's something very important to me, and it's called air conditioning. And I can't be without power for that simple fact alone. Never mind the fridge and freezer, but the air conditioning. So he had to be really strategic about what he worked on and how he worked on it. And we really put him through the ringer. So if anyone ever needs an electrician, I've got a great one.
When was the moment that you were like, we need to document this journey?
You know, I think right when we bought the house is pretty much when I started. I hadn't really thought about it up until then. You know, it's interesting because I tried to like think about like, why did I decide to do that? And I think the answer is I was like, well, this is fascinating, and I like to watch people's homes and whatnot. But more than that is I was in a new community and I didn't know anybody, and that's quite isolating. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this will like introduce me to the community, because I would just tag like the area in it. So I'm like, maybe I'll make a friend on the internet. As strange as that sounds, to use the internet as a tool to make a friend, I'm like, well, that's kind of sad, but it's what it is. So I feel like I was like, you know what? I'm here to stay. We're not planning on moving. So let's just show the world what we're doing, and maybe I'll make a friend or two along the way. And that's kind of where we started. If I had known ahead of time that I was going to share our house hunting journey, I would have taken way better videos of some of those houses.
You know, I feel like you have to start somehow and somewhere.
You sure do.
What has that community been like?
It's been really nice so far. I mean, I feel like everyone I meet is really nice, and maybe I'm just lucky. I don't know. So I've been recognized now on the streets a couple of times in the Chestnut Hill area, which is just the most flattering thing in the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you ever see me, please do say hi. Yeah. If I look like I'm uninterested to say hi, it's simply because I cannot see a thing. I never wear my glasses. So like I'm usually looking down at the ground because I'm blind as a bat. I don't know what's happening. So I'm like, if you see me, please say hi. And they do. And, you know, I've gotten to know a couple of the local business owners, which has been really nice. And I've gotten to know the conservatorship community people. Our house is not in any kind of like property easement, but there are a lot of homes that are historic in the area that are. So it's a pretty tight-knit community in that regard. So I feel like we're making our way. It's baby steps. Yes. You know, I would say we don't have like our tribe yet, but it's only been a few months. So I would say we're optimistic about it and have been warmly welcomed.
Yes.
So.
I have a neighbor. She lives across the street from me, Victoria. I know you're going to be listening to this. Victoria is from Chestnut Hill.
Oh, fun.
And we play pickleball on Sundays.
Oh, my goodness.
And her sister and her sister's husband recently moved out of Fairmount to Chestnut Hill.
Oh, my gosh.
And are doing something. She's like, well, I'm going to the dilapidated mansion.
Yep.
So
I know that vibe very well.
Like, I should connect.
You should. Yeah. It's a nice little community, I think.
So going back to the house for a moment, and you mentioned the electrical. So where does it stand today? What have you been able to accomplish and get through, and how much more are you looking to do in the immediate future?
When you have a project that is this size, you really have to pick your battles.
Sure.
So it started with the most important thing being doing the thing that made our homeowners insurance happy, make it safe, won't burn down. And now the house is, you know, livable. Not that it wasn't livable before, but by their standards, livable. Now we're like, okay, we need to take a breath and decide what we want to do next, because I think you have to be really intentional about these choices, especially with how much space there is. Otherwise, we'll just drown ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially with all of that. So I've learned a lot about myself. But when you replaster a wall, you're like, yeah, then you paint it. That sounds so rational. It's like you think these rational thoughts, but you don't know the complexities behind them. New plaster basically drinks paint. I tried to paint the office for Zach as a surprise. And when I say an office, I mean, I would say like a very standard bedroom size. I don't know the exact measurements, but let's just call it a 10 by 10 box. You'd think 2 cans of paint seems reasonable. No.
How many?
I think I gave up. I literally did 3 coats, and I couldn't even get to the top because I'm short and didn't have a ladder. And I really didn't think it through. When I was like, you can do it, Nicole. That is when I say I'm delusional. I could not. But I got 3 coats of paint on like the lower 2/3 of the room. Hadn't even finished it, and it still was not done. And I called our painter and I was like, I tried. I gave it my best effort, but I'm tapping out. I'm not built for this life. Those who paint their own houses, kudos to you.
No.
Not for me. I tried, and I think he went through like 7 gallons of paint.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, because the walls just like soak it in. I was like, oh my God, if every room takes that much paint, what am I what am I gonna do with myself? 7 gallons.
Wait, and so that was after you started? So that was 7 on top of what
I think 7 in totality.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I had provided 3, and he had to then go buy many more.
But you got him started.
I did.
Yeah,
I think maybe that is going to be the trick. I'll just start projects, and then Zach will be like, well, I guess you already started, so I suppose somebody has to finish it.
It's team effort.
I'm all ambition, and then sometimes very little execution.
I get it. I'm one of those people that I'll be sitting and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this right now. And it's going to happen right now. And then I'm like, okay, well.
I'm like, well, I did not spend enough time or effort or energy to do that all. But,
I'm grateful for TaskRabbit these days.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I haven't actually used TaskRabbit. I think it's probably for the best I don't, because I might get myself in trouble.
There's it's good for those things where you're just like, I want to put these on the wall and I don't know how. And it's like, okay, well, somebody can be here in a few hours.
Yep. I should probably do that. I'm a big fan of the girl measuring, where you like hold your arms out and you're like, oh yeah, it'll fit. Yeah. That's about center.
How often do you get it right?
Honestly, I would say like a 90% success rate. Like I am pretty good at finding like the middle of a wall. I'm like, yeah, that's about right. And drives my husband absolutely crazy. He's like, Nicole, the measuring tape is right there.
Here's
and
the
I'm
level.
I'm like, hey, last time I checked, buddy, you hung a TV 10 inches too far to the left when you used your measuring tape, and I got my picture right in the center of the wall. So who's the one in the right here? I don't know.
Girl math is working.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you had any weird experiences? And I don't know where I fall on the spectrum, but I just think of houses that are very old and historic. And I feel like that is a question somebody would want to know the answer to.
I get asked a lot if we have ghosts. And I would say my personal beliefs are the world is a giant place. Who knows if there are ghosts or no ghosts? I'm not going to have a hard opinion on that, because how the heck can I know? Yeah. However, if there are ghosts, I know exactly where they are. There is, so we have a 3rd floor, and it is primarily like attic-y, so it has the dormered side, like the slanted sides to it. Yeah. And there are 3 bedrooms and a storage room up there. I had to think about that. I don't go up there very often because I don't need to, and also it's a little bit spooky. So there was this 1 bedroom, and it's kind of like a long, skinny shape, and one side of it has like normal size walls, and then the other side is with the roof line, so it's a shorter wall, and it's kind of long and skinny. It didn't help this bedroom that when we moved in, the previous owners were really kind. We basically said to them, any furniture that you don't want to take with you, feel free to leave it, because we were coming from a tiny row home in the city to 10,000 square feet. We have not enough furniture, and it's not rational to think we will anytime soon have enough furniture. So they left behind these 2 twin beds up there. And they were kind of in there diagonally because the room is this long, skinny. And these 2 twin beds were a white metal frame that looked very eerily like hospital beds.
Oh, no.
It's like we opened the door and it creaks. It's like, you've got these 2 hospital beds. I'm like, well, this looks a bit spooky as is. But, I didn't think too much about it. It has like a little closet. And because the closet is on the wall that has the slant of the ceiling, the door is like a little hobbit door. It's maybe 3.5, 4 feet tall. I don't know measurements. Again, not my thing. I'm a measuring tape. But it's not a normal size room, right? And we open it up and we're like, oh, that's like a teeny little closet. And then we looked into it. We didn't notice this when we bought the house. We looked into it and there was a little teeny tiny door after that teeny tiny door. And we're like, what the heck? So we, crawl in there and we open it and it's like another closet behind the closet. And we were like, well, that's kind of weird, but like still not giving us like super creeped out vibes other than the hospital bed situation. So then we thought nothing of it. Well, then a couple weeks later, our electrician started, and they have to be able to get into the rafters and stuff to feed the wires or whatever. So he realized that an access point would be kind of in the roof rafters behind some of those like little walls that are put up. So he goes into the closet, into the secondary closet, and he's like, I'll just put a hole in the wall right here so I can get to the rafters to feed wires. The next thing you know, he comes down and he goes, I gotta tell you something.
Oh, no.
I was like, what? What, Nick? He was like, did you know that behind a wall that was walled off is another room with carpets and outlets and drywall? And we were like, what? So we go up there, and sure enough, you go in through your first hobbit door, in through your second hobbit door, and then he had cut the wall, like it was solid wood wall, planking. Past that, green carpet, the same green carpet that had been in the spare room, walls perfectly drywalled, outlets in the walls. We were like, what in the holy is this for?
Yeah.
Like, who was storing children up here or something? Like, I was like, what in the world? Like, why is there a drywalled carpeted room behind a door, behind a wall? Who does that? So we don't know why it's there. Have no idea. It's very creepy. So I just stay out. I'm like, if there are ghosts, that's where they live for sure. And I just don't go up there now.
Enjoy your life in there.
Exactly. That is your room, ghost. It is absolutely yours. Paint it whatever color you like. Just don't ask me to paint it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where they are, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So forever the creepy room.
Do you still have the metal framed beds in there?
There's one in there, and then I rolled because they're on wheels the other one into another room up there, and they're just in there right now. And I'm like, I need to get rid of these. They're really, really very creepy. But priorities.
They're not, out of sight, out of mind.
Like I don't see them. Like we don't have the dumpster anymore, so I'm like, what am I gonna do with them? Like, just gonna roll them down the street to like dumpster people, like the trash men. I don't know. So eventually we'll get rid of the hospital beds, which I think will definitely help with the creep factor, but that'll be a Zach project.
Yeah. You're not touching that one.
Yeah, no.
Are you doing this full time? Do you do anything?
Yeah, this is my full-time job, is managing the house. We didn't go through a general contractor. So I guess that makes me the general contractor, and all the people we've had working with us, we've had honestly the best luck. I cannot express enough how important it is to have people that know people in your life. And like our realtor was that for us. He's like Mr. Connected. He's like, I've got a stone guy for you. I've got an electrician for you. And like, they've all been great. I'm like, oh, thank you, Ryan. You're the best. Appreciate you. Cause I don't know anybody. I'm new here. So I've just been managing them and kind of trying to navigate what this version of homeownership looks like, which is very different from any kind of homeownership I've had previously.
Right.
So yeah, it's been overwhelming, but exciting in a lot of ways.
I'm sure a big learning experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It, honestly, I feel like I've learned that I'm a lot more patient than I thought I was, because I'm a pretty like instant gratification kind of girl. I do want to see immediately what happens, but when it comes to working with people, I've learned that like as long as people give it to me straight, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, just don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to take you 4 years to do it, great. If you tell me it's going to take you 2 weeks to do it and it takes you 4 years to do it, not so great. But it's been really fun to like be like, you know what, Nicole, you can be patient and wait for things to happen. Great job. So yeah, I've learned a lot about homes so far, and I can't wait to see how much I learn about gardening.
On the next chapter.
Yes, exactly.
What about, I'm curious as to, I have a friend in California, and when she bought her house, she went through an experience when she was renovating of kind of project managing everything and being the one that's like reaching out to the electricians and the plumbers. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced anything as a woman with getting responses or I need to talk to your husband?
Yes. I would say for this project specifically, it's not been as big of an issue. There was one subcontractor that wouldn't really talk to me about things, and I was like, well, but that was a really, really small piece of a puzzle. So I was like, okay, that's not the worst I've experienced at all. But most of them have been really good about talking with me about what's happening and timelines and what they're doing and when they're coming and all of that. I will say they all do tend to gravitate to talking to my husband about getting paid. Which, for what it's worth, I don't mind so much about that anyway, because I'm like, perfect, he's the one that has to go to the bank. Yeah. I don't have to do it. Yeah. But it's a dynamic that's been interesting to watch with them, that they just don't really bring it up with me, and they'll text him and be like, all right, fine. I don't need to be the one you talk to about that. You do need to talk to me about, when you're going to be here and what fixtures you're doing, because I am the one making those decisions. So that wasn't as much of a problem. But when we renovated our home in Raleigh, there was a guy who we worked with that we fired because he would not talk to me about anything at all. And it was so bad that there was a subcontractor there working on something else, and he actually stepped in on my behalf because it was over something that needed to be fixed. And I was like, this isn't right. This is how it should be done. And, we need to fix it. And he kept being like, no, you're making a big deal of absolutely nothing. You're wrong. You're wrong. And the other gentleman stepped in and was like, she's the homeowner. Yeah. I don't know why you think you can talk to her like that and be so dismissive. And I started crying. And like, I'm not actually a big crier now that I've mentioned crying twice here. I really don't cry that often, but I had not had somebody so blatantly disrespect me in my own home that way. And I'm a pretty easygoing person. And I just was at a loss. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he just was just the worst. And I was like, this is tough in this industry to be faced with that. And they're like, yeah, you don't know, ask your husband. I'm like, first of all, of the two of us, I am substantially more handy than my husband. I love him, but he's got very soft hands. So it's not for him.
Like, I am the boss in this situation.
Exactly.
So.
I'm like, he has no idea what's happening. Yeah. I don't need to ask him, in fact. And I don't really appreciate that. So yeah.
Ugh. Well, what's next? What do you have? How is the evolution of the content that you've been creating, the community, and personally in Philadelphia and this life you're building here?
I wish I could say I was such an organized human that I would know the answer to that. With the content and social media in general, I went into it with the notion of it being a personal side hobby. And if people wanted to follow along and whatnot, that's great, but no pressure. It's kind of like a scrapbook to me. I don't really care. And it kind of blew up out of nowhere. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. But I have no strategy. I don't post anything in any particular way, method, or use any kind of like catchphrases. I'm like, I don't know. I just post whatever I want. And then how that kind of goes into the renovation is, right now, we are trying to decide what our next step is. Like, do we want to tackle our kitchen next? Do we want to just work on painting and making the spaces we've already started more complete? We desperately need some more furniture. Like, do we start moving into more of like the pretty design things? So right now, I think because we're just closing out this first chapter of renovation, we are going to have to regroup and be like, okay, where do we feel our energy needs to go next? Because we're going to need to put energy into this for the rest of our lives. Basically, it is a forever project, not really an ever done.
Sure.
And then I feel like now with social media, the direction is shifting from, I was actually just talking to a friend about this. I was like, when we were in heavy construction, it was really fun because I'd be like, look, everything is a mess and it's not my fault. Right. But now that things are starting to come together, I'm like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I definitely need to work on like putting my laundry away and like making my bed before doing that video because no one needs to see that. I'm like, so I'm now getting to a crossroads. I'm like, okay, you've been flying by the seat of your pants up until this point, but like I do need to start making strategic choices if that's the path I want to continue down, and live up to the aesthetics that my home deserves, because now she is starting to look pretty again. I'm like, okay, make your bed, Nicole. You can do it. You don't have an excuse of being under construction anymore. Like, it is time to be an adult.
If you make your bed, you can have a coffee.
Exactly. And it's a whole shift in mind just from being under construction for so long to be like, now it's like, because I am actually a pretty tidy person by nature, but because it was such a mess for so long, you kind of get out of those habits and be like, okay, it's time to like reel it in, focus, clean up after yourself, and redirect. So I'm hoping for content that I get to actually show more of the design side of things now that things are nicer, which is something I really enjoy doing. Part of my background is in design for school, and getting to really do that a little bit more. I'm like, okay, now I need to actually do it. I know I love doing it. It's time to rip the Band-Aid. But then it gets also scary because when you do anything artistic, you're putting yourself out there in some kind of way and to be judged. And I think I have a pretty thick skin, but then again, anyone's feelings can get hurt at some point, and the internet is interesting in how it responds to you. So I think I'm now ready to start ripping that Band-Aid and be like, okay, nope, do pretty things and put it out there and it's going to be great.
Yeah, so. And not worry about what the...
Exactly.
Because there is a lot of bad out there on social media, but there's also a lot of really good.
There's so much good.
Yeah.
It's very small bad.
Yeah.
But when they're bad, they're mean.
They're awful.
It's really interesting. I was like, wow, I don't choose to speak to people that way, but I mean, it takes all types in the world. So like, that is your right to speak to me that way, I suppose. But
yeah, you'll be putting people on blast.
Yeah,
No.
I get asked a lot. They're like, why don't you ever reply to any of those things? I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't do me any good to invest my energy in that kind of commentary. The only thing I ever have considered saying to them is, thank you so much for upping my engagement. Yeah. It's the only thing that I think I would maybe say eventually, but I think that is then also just me being a troll back. I'm like, don't stoop to their level. Like, you're nicer than this. Like, come on, don't do it. So 9 times out of 10, I don't have an urge to do it. Every now and then an odd comment, I will be like, okay,
yeah,
you're fine. You don't need to reply to that. It's not worth it.
Go take a hammer to a wall or something.
To that 3rd floor, my ghost room.
Yeah. If there's somebody who is interested in buying an old home and kind of going into it and taking that sledgehammer, what would be advice that you would offer?
It's probably advice that everyone would hear about an old home is know that everything is going to cost 4,000% more than you thought, which is fine. But also to go into it knowing that it will always have problems. And owning an old home is not about fixing it. There's nothing wrong with your old home. It's its own entity, and there'll always be things that need maintenance. You are never done maintaining it. And if you're saving up and be like, well, every year it's something with this home, like, that's going to be for forever. Yeah. So you have to shift your mindset of, I get to maintain this home. This is a part of the home's legacy, and it's an honor to do that and keep it around and keep it, structurally sound, and it will never end. So I think as long as you can really take that to heart, you'll love it. They're worth it. They're beautiful. They're not made like this anymore. So yeah, just know there's never going to be a year where you're like, well, that was the one year I didn't have to do X, Y, and Z to the house. There's going to be something every year that's expensive.
Yeah, I love that. Well, if people want to follow your journey, where can people follow you along?
They can follow me on Instagram. My handle makes absolutely no sense with a home renovation account because it was just my personal account. They just kept it. But Instagram, it's nicole.likescake. I love cake. It's a whole other I used to be a wedding photographer, and so I would eat a lot of cake every weekend. So, you know, it's a whole thing. But some on Instagram, which is where I do a lot of stuff. And I recently went onto TikTok for the first time. I think I've been on it for maybe a month or two. What a world.
It's a different world.
It is, you know, honestly, in some ways a lot nicer.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, these people are really cheering me on. But I'm on TikTok. It is a different handle. It's my first initial N and my last name Moering. So at N Moering on TikTok. They can follow along. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, final question. What's your favorite type of cake?
Oh, chocolate, like really basic chocolate. And I don't like icing at all. So like I'm truly just in it for the cake. I just scrape all the icing off, chocolate all the way every day.
Have you had any good cake in Philly?
Yes. I think it's called the Night Kitchen in Chestnut Hill.
Okay.
Their cake in general is so good. And let me tell you, I'm not a vegetable girly. I like to keep my desserts and vegetables separate as far away from each other as possible. But their carrot cake is exceptional. And for me to like give up a piece of chocolate cake for a vegetable cake, it's got to be pretty good. So the Night Kitchen Bakery, Chestnut Hill, it's great.
Right. Well, thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I've loved chatting with you.
Me too.